it's not true. I wanna put up all my walls cause I'm not in the mood, but then I cut myself off from the rest of the room. I know that time can heal it all if you're patient and soon it can all be worth it, all the searching. Pain is never really permanent, but damn it hurts, man. I could feel all of the turbulence and it's concerning. I've been searching for a purpose, I hope it's worth it. This society is really trying me, ain't no hide and seek, I hide.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to my RP life, and I'm your host, Juan. Debbie's not with me tonight, but shout out to my fiance. Love you, baby. And in this episode is episode 2, a blind man's reflection on his life before RP. And this is more about my story before I found out I went blind. And if you checked out my first episode, if you checked out my first episode of a blind man's reflection on his life, I left off when I was explaining about the things with the Latin Kings and stuff like that. So after I took care of all of that for the crew and spoke to them, to the twins, in my life in high school, eventually I dropped out in the 10th grade, and I was still selling weed. I was doing counterfeit money with 2 other guys. I don't remember their names. It was a long time ago. And growing up in Red Hook projects, like in Red Hook projects, not the outskirts of Red Hook, in the projects, was rough back in the 90s, as a teenager. So you're either going to get bullied by the neighborhood kids, or you're going to get your respect. And for me, I already had respect in high school and stuff like that. But in Red Hook projects, it was a little different. You have to get your rep up. You have to let people know, let your friends know, let everybody who thinks they know that you ain't no punk. Now, for me, for the people who know me, my family and friends who grew up with me, know that I was the type of kid not to start problems as a little kid. But as a teenager, I also didn't start any problems. I was selling weed at the time. I had my own weed spot with me and another guy. And we made a lot of money and stuff like that throughout the years, while not being in high school because I dropped out in the 10th grade, which you already know. I went to John Jay High School was because they had a criminal justice program to try and become a lawyer and whatever and learn the law. But that didn't work out that way because I was making money out in the street. And I was also working in a tire shop back in the days too, which that shit didn't make me no money. I actually had to rob where I was working at just to make ends meet. That job sucked as a teenager. But anyways, I digress. As a teenager, and I made more money doing the counterfeiting and selling weed than working in that tire repair shop here in Red Hook. I think it used to be called Happy Horse Tire Shop or Tire Repair, whatever. But growing up in the street, I had to get my respect. You know, even though I was still part of the crew GMP and stuff like that, but you still have to earn respect from, you know, the people in the street, whether it be adults older than you who think that, you know, at that time can tell you what to do, not even knowing who you are, you know. But I made a lot of money, I gained a lot of respect, and I wasn't an asshole, you know. I wasn't a type of person to bully my friends or bully other people who I didn't know. Now, don't get me wrong, I've done some crazy stuff, like even rob drug dealers, you know. I know my family don't know about that, but they're about to find out right now. I've robbed other drug dealers. Yep. I've held guns for family members. I've held drugs for family members. So I've done a lot of things throughout the years growing up in Red Hook that you guys don't know about. Now, I'm gonna go and rewind back to when I was in high school. It was my second year before I dropped out in the 10th grade. I already made it to the 10th. So, as the crew GMP, there was a few head members there, like giving me Vio, and I think Duna is one of them. Shout out to Duna wherever you at. And Gibbon and Vio, God bless y'all and your families. But there was a time we used to hang out in the park by man, what's the name of that school? I think it was 51s. There was a school right across from the park. Right on, I think that was 5th Avenue. I want to say 19th? No. Probably like 19th Street. Because the numbers go up. Either 19th or 12th Street. But anyways, so we had beef. I don't know if this crew or gang is still around, but they're called the Papi Chulos. So one day we were all hanging out on the handball court, if it's still there, which I doubt it, because a lot of things change. So we were all hanging out on the handball court. It must have been about probably like 20 of us, and maybe like a few females. And these two dudes, I guess one of the members in the crew had a problem with them and whatever, because they're from like Park Slope, I think, or Bay Ridge. So they had made these two dudes made my whole crew sit down. And I'm looking at them like, the fuck is wrong with y'all? Stand the fuck up. There's like freaking like 20 of us and like only 2 of these fools. So from what I remember, now correct me if I'm wrong, if any of my friends hear this, that's part of the crew. So correct me if I'm wrong. There was a beef going on there that I didn't even know about, which they should have told me about. I had to find out when all of this was happening. But they made them all sit down, except for me and my girlfriend at the time. Shout out to Hazel, wherever you at, girl. Blessings to you and the family. And she was like, come on, Fed, let's go. I'm like, no, I'm not leaving my niggas. You know what I mean? I'm not leaving my peoples, right? So I was telling these niggas, get the hell up, man. You know? But the two dudes, the so-called Papi Chulos, if they're still around, that is, I think they were like a Dominican gang or something. I have no idea. And they said, don't move. Stay here. We're going to go back and get the fuego. I was like, all right, y'all niggas go get what y'all got to get. We'll be right here, right? So as soon as they left, that's when I told them, come on, man, let's get the hell out of here, because you already know what the fuego is. And that's them one of them is gonna go get a pistol to start shooting. So they both ran off, and as soon as they ran off, we ran off, right? Now I was kind of pissed off that day because, you know, even though we're a graffiti crew, but we ain't no suckers neither, you know? So I guess the next day or a few days later, we went back to the park, but this time I came and I got my cousin Big Joe, and I told him, and then we told some other friends of ours what happened and whatever. My cousin had a pistol in his little back in the days, it was like a leather case that you hold your cassette tapes in, and he had a pistol in there. Supposedly that's what he told me. He was like, just in case, if something pops off, you know what I mean? So I was like, all right. So I already knew. So when we all met up after school, it was the same crew. It was us, GMP. It was Vio, me, Given, NG, Duna, Hazel, who else? Marilyn. I'm gonna say, I think Effie was there, because Effie was, you know, with us with graffiti. Gano, Juju, Alexis, my cousin Joe. Who else? I'm trying to remember who was there. Oh, Aspen was there. Not aspirin, but Aspen. But yeah, that was Gano. That's Gano's best friend. Who else? It was just a whole bunch of us. So, and some other people from John Jay High School who weren't even a part of our graffiti crew, because they used to hang out with us at the park playing handball and stuff. So, because supposedly they were gonna come back and start some stuff if they saw us again at the park, and they never showed up that day and whatever. So ever since that day, nothing happened with I guess Papi Chulos or whatever they were called. So after all that happened, I ended up dropping out of high school. So like you heard before, you know, I made money selling weed, doing counterfeiting. Now getting back to the counterfeiting. I used to bring home about, I want to say, between $1,000 to $2,000 a week. And my mom didn't know nothing about it until she started noticing the way I was dressing. I wasn't dressing like your average poor kid living in the projects. So she started to question me about where I'm getting all this for clothes, because at that time in the 90s and late 80s, my mom was on welfare. And if you know about welfare back in the days, especially in the 80s, they didn't even give you enough food stamps or SNAP EBT, and now that's what it's called. Back in them days, to survive a month, they expected you to live off of like $40 to $50 a month of food stamps. For you young people who don't know what food stamps are, back in the days before EBT, they used to give you these booklets. And in these booklets were stamps. They came in different colors, purple, brown, whatever. And it'll be like $50, $10, $20, different colors. And you have to rip those out and give it to the woman in the register to pay for whatever food you're buying with the food stamps. Nowadays, it's totally different. You got an EBT card, you know. And even though they give you a little bit more now, but it's still not enough to survive. And the reason why I know is because your boy over here is still on welfare. You know, I wasn't on welfare all my life, but I was on welfare with my mother from my young life as a child until a teenager. Until once I got a job when I moved out of Red Hook. My mother was still on welfare, but not me, because I left New York City for probably 20 years. Because I left very young, back in 1995, 96. But anyways, growing up like that was very difficult for my mom and I to survive in Red Hook. She didn't have no other income. When we first moved to the projects here in Red Hook, where I'm at right now, was back in 1987. And my grandmother already had passed away when I was probably 8 years old. My grandfather passed away a year after her. He passed away at, I want to say 81, if I'm not mistaken, and my grandmother passed away at 77 years old. By the way, give my mom a shout out if you're listening to this on YouTube or on, whatever podcast platform you listen to your podcast on, because in April her birthday's on the 4th and she'll be 77 years old. I really appreciate if you guys do that for her, so I can let her know that that you guys heard about it from me and you're shouting her out on her birthday. Some of you might know her as Mama Bear, because there's a video, I think 2 videos and 1 video there and stuff. But yeah. So getting back to the story. It wasn't easy back in them days growing up as a teenager and a young kid. I did get locked up for the counterfeiting. I was doing that for about, I want to say 7 months to a year almost and stuff. I got locked up for that. I did my time for that. I got community service because it was my first offense. I never got locked up for not even selling weed out in the street at that time. So it was a real hectic life. I earned respect in the street. People knew better. And also people knew my family out here in Red Hook. They knew my cousin Andy. May he rest in peace. I love you. And I miss you, Andy. My cousin Andy was the first one to acknowledge when I had first put up that I was losing my vision out of everyone in my family. But people knew my family. They knew my cousin Andy, my cousin Big Joe, cousin Charles. They knew my cousin Danny. They knew that to not mess with me like that, And shout out to everyone who I mentioned. I just pray that you're all doing well wherever you are at, whether you're still here in Red Hook or, moved out of the state. I pray that my friends who I grew up with are still around and still alive and living well and healthy. And if there's some who passed away that I don't know about, may you rest in peace. And one day we'll see you again. So that's a part of my life before I found out about RP. I'm going to share more of my story. You know, so far we left off with the counterfeiting stuff and me serving my little bit of time, because I did serve about, a week or two in the Brooklyn house over here, downtown Brooklyn. And they were going to send me off to Rikers Island. Because when I got locked up was on the weekend and stuff. So they were going to send me out to Rikers Island. They already gave me my, that uniform shit that that everybody wears, that jumpsuit. So one of the COs in the Brooklyn house said, well, if you don't get bailed out by Monday, or you see the judge by Monday, then you probably won't have to go to Rikers Island to wait for, to see a judge. So Monday came around, and so basically, no, let's delete some of that, what I just said, because I spent about 3 days. I had got locked up, and they picked us up in somewhere in New Utrecht. So we spent some days there at the precinct. Then they shipped us off to the Brooklyn house. They shipped us off to the Brooklyn house. So that was Monday. We spent 2 days. So Tuesday, they shipped us off to the Brooklyn house after they, made their reports and whatever. And then it was Wednesday and Thursday, I stood there in the Brooklyn house, waiting for a judge to see me. And no judge picked me up. So they gave me my own jail cell, me by myself with my own bed and bath, toilet. And then I had breakfast and lunch in the Brooklyn house, which that sucked. Then Friday came along. And then Friday came along, and I was still there waiting to see a judge. So then the CO, because I asked the CO that, so far I've been here a week. I was like, well, what's gonna happen? He was like, well, if they haven't seen you yet, most likely if the weekend comes, you might be going to Rikers Island to wait to be, sent back this way so you can see the judge. So I ended up spending the week, and on Friday, they actually called me to go see the judge. Friday morning, I think it was. And I got to see the judge. My mother was there. My godparents were there. Some of the members of my family were there, which they told me to don't look at my family, or if they're in the courtroom, keep your head down and stuff like that. I had not a lawyer. I had one of those, I forgot what those are called. Like one of those attorneys. But anyways, so they ended up giving me 2 months community service for my first offense. My bail was $2,000 and something. I told the judge, can he be a little bit more lenient because my mother's on welfare. So he dropped it down to like $1,500 or $1,200. And the guy who I was doing the counterfeiting with, his brother, I think it was, bailed me out and stuff like that. So that's how that went. So that's pretty much it for episode 2 of A Blind Man's Reflection on His Life. So please check me out on all the platforms you listen to your podcast. Give me a follow and subscribe to me on YouTube at MyRP Life. And if you'd like to follow me on any social media platforms, you can find me on X, used to be Twitter, at MyRP Life 1. And go check me out on Instagram. I just started an Instagram. It's MyRP Life 76, I think. So go check me out over there too. Peace and blessings. And I holler at y'all in the next one, y'all.
I've got an itch I can't scratch, I'm missing a piece that completes a whole part of me, an open wound scar to see. Everybody come here, gather round, welcome to the freak show, the best in town. What the hell's wrong with me? I don't get along with anybody, honestly. I've been living in my own head constantly, thoughts jumbled round, think I need a new lobotomy. Wait, all these thoughts are too negative, I don't wanna get lost in the sedative. Gotta show them what I got, I'm competitive. You know I'm about to go off, I won't let them win, I'll take a stab. I wanna chase a bag, I wanna weigh, I can change all the things I lack. I gotta face the facts, I got a taste in that. Got me obsessed with the rest, I got an itch to scratch.